Gentlemen, let me start with a shock. The very moves you were told never to try in the bedroom, the ones labeled forbidden, dangerous, or dirty, may be the exact keys to unlocking her deepest cravings. At your age, after 60, when many men worry passion is fading, these so-called taboo techniques can make her body pulsate with pleasure and have her begging you not to stop. The truth is, what society told you to avoid may be the most powerful way to bring intimacy back to life. I am Dr. Mohit Khera, a urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men restore their strength, their confidence, and their vitality in the bedroom. I've spoken to thousands of men your age, men who thought their best nights were behind them, and I've helped them discover that the fire is still there. It just needs the right spark. And here is the paradox that few men ever realize. The very techniques you once believed would push her away are the ones that, when approached with care, trust, and consent, can pull her closer than ever before. They are not about disrespect, but about awakening her nervous system in ways that polite routine intimacy never touches. That is why today I'm going to reveal 3 forbidden sexual techniques that, when used correctly, can make her crave you in a way that feels primal, emotional, and unforgettable. And stay with me, because in just a moment I will not only name them, but show you step by step how to use them safely and confidently, so she'll remember tonight as one of the most powerful of her life. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the bell, so you never miss powerful advice designed to reignite your intimacy after 60. And if this topic excites you, drop a 1 in the comments. If you'd like me to improve or adjust, type 0 and let me know how I can serve you better. Now let's begin with the first key. Before you ever touch her body, you must understand the hidden power of words. What you say, and how you say it, can awaken her desire in ways no touch ever could. This is where the art of name play begins. 1. The truth about forbidden. Pleasure after 60. When men reach their 60s, many believe the most passionate chapters of their intimate lives are already written. I can tell you from my years in the clinic, nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, for couples who are willing to step outside the rigid boundaries of what they were told was proper, the years after 60 can hold some of the deepest pleasure and connection they've ever known. Society, culture, even religion often told you that certain touches, certain words, and certain playful techniques were off limits. They were labeled forbidden, dirty, or dangerous. And for decades, many men stayed away, quietly shelving their curiosity and convincing themselves that these doors must stay closed. But here's the reality I've seen again and again. When two people who love and trust each other choose to explore these techniques together, they do not damage the relationship, they renew it. At this stage of life, the body may be slower, the erections may take more care, and the energy may feel different. Yet the nervous system, the largest sexual organ you have, is still hungry for novelty, rhythm, and intensity. The brain lights up when something feels new and slightly edgy, especially when it is paired with trust and safety. That is why what once felt forbidden can feel so thrilling now. It is not because you are breaking rules. It is because you are awakening circuits in her body and in your own that daily routine never touches. I have sat with couples who rediscovered passion after decades of flat, repetitive sex simply by daring to talk about what once felt taboo. They found laughter, they found closeness, and most of all, they found desire again. Gentlemen, this is the truth about forbidden pleasure after 60. It is not off limits, it is your invitation. And now, let's move into the first of these powerful techniques, where you'll discover how a single word whispered the right way can make her tremble with hunger for you. 2. Technique 1. Name play. There is a power in words that most men underestimate, especially after 60. I've seen men who thought their touch was enough, yet discovered that what truly made their partner shiver was not the strength of their hands, but the sound of their voice. This is the art of name play, often misunderstood as dirty talk, but in reality, it is something much deeper. It is about recognition, permission, and celebration. For decades, many women have been conditioned to stay quiet, to hold back, to be polite even in the most intimate moments. And when a man, with tenderness and confidence, whispers the right words, he gives her the freedom to let go of that restraint. I remember one patient who told me that after years of silence in the bedroom, he simply leaned close to his wife and said, "I love how much you want me right now." He said her entire body melted into his. It was not vulgar. It was not forced. It was a simple acknowledgement of what was already happening in her body, and it gave her permission to surrender even more. That is the beauty of name play. It is not about creating fantasy. It is about describing reality in a way that honors her desire. The key is to ask before you ever speak. Sit with her when you are calm and say, "What words excite you to hear? What words would you never want me to use?" Write them down if you need to, because the respect you show in asking will build her trust. Then, in the heat of the moment, breathe with her, whisper softly, and let your words follow her body's rhythm. Gentlemen, when you learn to speak her desire into existence, you open a door few men ever dare to touch. And if you think words are powerful, wait until you discover what happens when your hand meets her body in rhythm. 3. Technique 2. Rhythmic spanking. The very word spanking can make some men my age uneasy. I understand that. For years you were told it was wrong, childish, even cruel. But what if I told you that, when done with care and intention, rhythmic spanking is not about pain at all. It is about awakening deeper pathways of pleasure that her body is secretly wired to crave. I remember a patient in his late 60s who shared with me how hesitant he was when his wife first asked him to try it. He worried it would hurt her or make him feel foolish. Yet when he finally placed his open palm on the soft outer curve of her buttock and gave a gentle steady smack in rhythm with his breath, he said the response shocked him. She arched, she sighed, and she whispered, "Don't stop." What he discovered was not violence, it was connection. You see, the buttocks are rich in nerve endings connected directly to the pelvic floor and the clitoral complex. When pressure lands in the right place with rhythm, her nervous system interprets it as waves, not stings. The brain loves patterns. A palm pressing, releasing, pressing again in a steady tempo can send shivers through her body that routine touch never could. The secret is to go slow, to let her skin warm under your hand first, to listen with your eyes as much as your ears. If she leans into you, breathes out, or stills with anticipation, you are in the right place. And always remember, the way you end is just as important as the way you begin. Press your palm softly against the warmed skin, kiss the spot, soothe it with your touch, and show her she is safe in your care. Gentlemen, if words can melt her, rhythm can make her body pulse. But the next technique takes it even further, sending waves from her scalp down to her spine in a way she will never forget. 4. Technique 3. Hair pulling. Hair pulling is perhaps the most misunderstood of all intimate techniques. Many men recoil at the thought, fearing it will cause pain or appear disrespectful. Yet in my years of practice, I have learned that when done gently and with care, hair pulling is not about aggression at all. It is about awakening one of the most sensitive regions of the human body. The scalp is dense with nerve endings, connected through the trigeminal nerve to pathways that run down the spine and into the pelvic floor. A slow, deliberate pull can create a ripple of sensation that travels through her entire body, igniting both physical arousal and a powerful sense of being claimed with tenderness. I remember a couple in their 70s who admitted they had never tried anything beyond the basics. When the husband, after careful discussion, finally gathered a small handful of hair close to his wife's scalp and pulled gently back in sync with a kiss, he told me he saw her eyes widen with surprise, then soften into pleasure. What mattered most was not the pull itself, but the way it was delivered, steady, intentional, never rushed. The secret lies in the grip, never grabbing at the ends, never jerking, but holding near the roots as though guiding rather than controlling. A breath in, a slow pull, a breath out, and then release. It becomes a rhythm that matches the intimacy of the moment, not something that breaks it. And as always, the close matters. Massaging her scalp afterward, whispering how beautiful she looked in that moment, reassuring her with your presence. This transforms intensity into trust. Gentlemen, when you master this, You unlock a level of emotional connection that surprises even the most seasoned couples. But the real magic happens when you learn to weave all three of these techniques into one seamless journey, an arc of passion that builds, peaks, and lands with unforgettable power. 5. The framework. Frame, build, crest, land. Over the years, I've learned that the difference between a forgettable encounter and one that lingers in both memory and body is not just in the techniques themselves, but in the way the entire experience is shaped. Think of intimacy as an arc, a story you are writing together in real time. Every powerful story has a beginning, a rise, a peak, and a gentle ending. The same is true for great sex, especially when you are exploring techniques that once felt forbidden. It begins with the frame. This is the moment where you set the invitation, where she feels seen, safe, and fully aware of what you are about to share. A single sentence can do it. Do you want me to use the words we talked about tonight, with my hand guiding your rhythm and a gentle pull at your scalp? When she answers yes, the stage is set. Then comes the build. Here, you go slowly, letting your hands, your breath, and your words establish a steady rhythm. You are telling her nervous system that it can trust you, that you will listen to every sigh, every movement, every shift in her body. The build is where anticipation grows. The crest is the moment when you increase the intensity, when the playful words grow sharper, when the rhythm of your palm matches the rhythm of your body, when the pull of her hair sends that shiver you've been waiting for. This is where you give her exactly what she has been craving. And finally, the land. Here, you soften. You hold her. You whisper what you loved about the way she responded. You give her body and mind a safe place to rest. That gentle landing is what makes her want to take this journey again and again. And if the framework is the story, then the next lesson is about the boundaries that protect it, what not to do if you want your passion to last. 6. What not to do. One of the most important lessons I've learned after decades of sitting with men and couples is that passion can only grow inside the soil of trust. Without it, even the most exciting technique will wither. That is why understanding what not to do is just as vital as learning the techniques themselves. Too many men rush forward, eager to try something new, forgetting that intimacy is not about proving a point. It is about honoring another person's body and heart. Never surprise her with something edgy she has not agreed to. What feels adventurous to you can feel violating to her if she has not given her consent. I once counseled a couple where the husband, in his enthusiasm, introduced rough play without warning. She shut down completely, not because the act itself was unbearable, but because it felt like her trust had been broken. Once trust is shaken, rebuilding it takes time. Never try these practices when either of you is under the influence of alcohol or anger. Intimacy requires clarity and presence. A distracted mind or clouded judgment can turn what should be thrilling into something confusing or even unsafe. Likewise, do not keep going if she shows any sign of discomfort, whether through words, body language, or silence. Respecting a no is what makes her yes more powerful in the future. And perhaps most importantly, never use these techniques as a way to fix wounds in the relationship or to test loyalty. They are not weapons, they are gifts. When approached with care, they magnify love and trust. When misused, they magnify distance and resentment. Gentlemen, if you avoid these mistakes, the path forward is clear. But passion does not end when the act is over. In fact, what you do afterward may be the most crucial step of all. That is where the true secret of aftercare comes in. 7. Aftercare, the secret ingredient. If there is one step men often overlook, it is what happens after the intensity fades. Too many believe that once the passion peaks, the moment is complete. But I have seen in my years of practice that aftercare is the difference between an experience that feels fleeting and one that deepens love and trust for years to come. Aftercare is not complicated. It is the art of reminding her, in the quiet that follows, that she is safe, cherished, and respected. I once spoke with a couple in their late 60s who admitted they had tried a playful spanking session for the first time. The wife enjoyed it, but what she remembered most vividly was not the rhythm of his hand, but the way he held her afterward. He brought her a glass of water, kissed the place he had spanked, and whispered, "You are everything to me." That simple act turned what could have been a risky experiment into a memory she wanted to relive again and again. Aftercare can be as simple as pulling her into your arms, stroking her hair, or massaging her scalp if you've just finished a hair-pulling session. It can be leaving a small towel or a cool compress by the bed, or simply breathing together in silence until her heartbeat steadies. These gestures may feel small, but to her nervous system, they are profound. They tell her body, "The landing is gentle. You can trust me." And for you, they reinforce the bond that makes every future encounter more open and more exciting. Gentlemen, if you want her to crave not just the moment, but the man she shares it with, never skip this secret ingredient, because when you learn to close with tenderness, you give her the courage to open even further next time. And speaking of next time, let me show you why these forbidden techniques matter most after 60, and why your age is not a limitation, but a hidden advantage. 8. Why this matters at 60 plus. By the time a man reaches his 60s, he has lived through decades of responsibility, of routine, of giving himself to work and family. Many of the men I meet carry a quiet fear that their days of passion are behind them. They notice their bodies are slower, erections take more effort, and energy doesn't come as easily as it once did. But here is the truth I want every man to hear. Intimacy after 60 can be the richest of your life. Not because your body is the same as it was at 20, but because your wisdom, your patience, and your capacity for presence have grown. At this age, sex is no longer about proving performance. It is about deepening connection. The forbidden techniques we have explored matter precisely because they awaken parts of the body and brain that routine intimacy has long ignored. Nameplay speaks to her mind, giving her freedom from decades of silence. Rhythmic spanking engages her nervous system in primal patterns that stir excitement. Hair pulling, done with tenderness, sends waves of sensation down her spine that she will remember long after the night is over. Each of these techniques proves that novelty and trust can coexist, that desire is not diminished by age, but reshaped into something even more profound. I've seen couples in their 70s walk into my office tired and disconnected, only to return weeks later with smiles and stories of rediscovery. They didn't find a miracle drug. They found courage to explore, to speak openly, and to embrace their bodies as they are today. Gentlemen, this is why it matters at 60 and beyond, because your age is not a barrier, but a bridge. And if you're wondering how to bring all of this together into a final message you'll carry with you tonight, stay with me, because in closing, I will show you the truth that ties it all together and ensures your best years of intimacy are still ahead. 9. Conclusion. Gentlemen, we have walked through the truth about forbidden pleasure after 60, the art of name play, the rhythm of spanking, the intensity of hair pulling, the framework that guides it all, the mistakes to avoid, the power of aftercare, and why this season of life matters more than ever. What I want you to carry with you is simple. Age has not closed the door on passion, it has opened a new one. With trust, tenderness, and courage, you can make her crave you in ways neither of you thought possible. Your best moments of intimacy are still waiting.